Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're going to be tackling episodes 12 and 13 of the Apothecary Diaries. Very excited to be jumping back in here after last week's nonsense, I guess I would say. Yeah, excited to see more and where this mystery grows from here because I'm really unsure about the lead into this next episode if I'm going to be completely frank with you. So, interested. I want to see more. That's why I'm making the YouTube video. Don't know why I need to justify it every single time if I'm completely honest. But here's the YouTube comments from last week, of course. Again, available to the Patreons if you guys wanted to talk at me. Patreon, $6 a month. You get the videos early and you get to be able to talk at me about the show. It's up to you, really, if you wanted to do that. Such as Sal, he did such a thing right here, right now. Well, yeah, I'm happy that I have a kindred spirit, I guess, that just, like, was kind of confused initially, but then was like, oh, and then it, like, made a whole lot of sense. It's good to have at least an audience of people that went through at least similar stuff with the episode, I guess. And yeah, just great drama. It's a really good show, guys. I don't know if you guys heard, the show that was really acclaimed and really well regarded and stuff. It's really good. It's really, really good. And again, right from very early in the show, I think I even continue now to underestimate it and what it's capable of and so forth. It's just a really good story. Really, really good. Either way, next comment here from Pencil Sharp. And this one is... I guess both these next comments have something that I missed, which would have been pretty crucial, I guess. Just some interpretations that I think are really, really interesting. So Pencil Sharp's is more macro, right? So Mao had good reasons to hold back from getting too involved, but we have to think about the other side of that as well, right? Remember, she's being pulled in two different directions. What is the other side here, right? Okay, let's establish the first side first. She does want to get involved, predicated on the father. The father got too involved, supposedly, in the past. Something mother. Again, I'm keeping an eye on it. And he's imparting this knowledge that he has from previous moments in his life to Mao now. Makes sense, right? Like, I got involved and it ended up getting me injured and, like, something wife. You know what I mean, though? Yeah, you're putting it together. That is his side of it. That is what he's trying to do for her. Now, of course, on the other side, we must think about Mao and if she pursued this further. What could it possibly do? What tangible benefits are there in the plot for her revealing the information about her crack theory at the very end, right? Specifically, Gyokyo and that situation, right? Ignorance is sin. If I didn't interfere, then Gyokyo's child would be dead and should be having a terrible time. Pretty obviously, right? And again, as we've seen in the past, that child is their key to staying in the rear palace and so forth. As a matter of fact, a whole bunch of trade relations are based on and predicated on this relationship. So, like, if Mao didn't get involved there, then Gyokyo's entire thing goes to shit, right? Think about Feng Meng, right? Like, if she gave that knowledge or figured out the whole Jinchi baby swap shenanigans, if she figured that out earlier and told Feng Ming, she wouldn't have felt as motivated to go through and commit the poisoning. She would still have her life intact. We're implying from the end of last episode that there's some further connection between Feng Ming and Mao, so that could have been something as well. She could still have her life. If I don't get involved, people die, right? But if I do get involved, I might die. That's the two sides pulling, and that's where the kind of conflict is. She's brilliant. With great power comes great responsibility for Mao, and yeah, if she has the knowledge, then she should act upon it. At least sometimes. Maybe, again, threading that needle is the drama of the show, and her choices there. So yeah, step back, look at the whole show, look at what it's trying to say, and you come up with stuff like that, and you sound way smarter than I do. Anyway, continuing here with Kelvin's comment, the last comment here today, assuming Mao's theory is correct about the baby swapping and the Jinchi and the Arduo and them being mother and son, right? Then, okay, go back and look at that scene where Arduo and Mao are talking on the wall. How can you reinterpret that, right? It's essentially the mother's last day in the rear palace. I'm going to go check on this new toy that Jinchi has, right? And see what she's about. Why is she, piqued his attention so much, so to say? Yeah, and that's kind of, if you read the conversation through that lens and her, like, leaving, I feel better now, I've sobered up. Yeah, she's checking to see if Mao would take care of his son and is a good influence and all these other things, right? And yeah, that's a great interpretation. I really enjoy that. You could even read into it further. Hey, visit Jinshi, get him super drunk. I'm going to go off and, whilst he's distracted, I'm going to go off and talk with Mao Mao. Yeah. Again, once you put all the pieces together, that starts to make a little bit more sense now and is less coincidental, I would say. So again, I'm not even saying this is headcanon, I'm saying this is canon. This just makes too much sense to me. So good job, you guys. You guys are really smart. So yeah, that'll do it for this week on the YouTube comments. Let me get up those patrons, of course. $6 a month. You can pay me and watch the videos early and comment and vote in polls and stuff. It's very cool. Many people have done this, up to and including Annie Gregg, Mickey Babbers, Charles++, Anders Harlan, Bobbin, Chobo Ribby, Domobot, Ed, Fancy Question Mark, Fleur Nightingale, Fried Rice, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Gus N, Heath, Hex, Ika, Yanko Yavanen, Joran, Kelvin, Kimskell, Clem, Nosta, Lou, Mish, Mistake El Chen, Nailu, Nick, Parnick, Pencil Sharp 333, Ron Lad BNK, Saint Lily, Sal, Sam1373, Skeleton, Without a Net, Zan Echo, Unomeme, Zach, Binchi, Hans Peter, Marsh, Voodoo Chili, Aiden O'Brien, Sinarin, and Funny Fat Guy. Thank you for all the money and the everything. Thank you for being patron and supporting channel. It is good. I don't know why I'm speaking in broken English, but I digress. Let's move on to today's episodes. So, episode 12. What happened in the end of episode 11? There was some kind of relation discovered by Jinshi between Feng Meng and her immediate family and Mao Mao, right? Now, what does this mean? Does this mean literally family? Are they literally related? I don't know. Is there something in Feng Meng's past that relates her to Mao Mao on some level? Potentially. That's where I'm thinking we're going a little bit more. Does it have to do with the father? Almost entirely yes. Cool. Sounds awesome. Will this lead into more Mao Mao origin stuff, which I've been largely predicting? Probably. Are we going to discover things through the lens of another character, which Mao Mao hasn't yet shared with the audience? Potentially. I don't know if 2 episodes here is a good stopping point, but we're going to do it. Keep in mind Mao Mao's crack theory as well, that being, again, reiterating for the people, that Arduo and the Empress Dowager, I remember looking that up, somebody sent me the pronunciation, Dowager, they kind of were giving birth on the same night. Arduo supposed that the baby would have a better life if it was the Emperor's son, if it was, the current Emperor's brother, so to say. So yeah, they swapped the babies. So Jinshi, who is now also implied to be the Emperor's brother, right? But they're also maybe a scapegoat because the one scene at the garden party still doesn't make sense. But anyway, we talked about that last week. Jinshi is Arduo's son. That is the theory. And it has a lot of, I guess, evidence behind it. It feels like it's concrete almost. It feels like, again, Mao Mao discovers this and then pulls herself away from it and walks into the cloudy, storm clouds, and walks into the metaphor at the end of the episode. Bad things will happen if she doesn't act upon this stuff. That's what I would say anyway. With all that in mind, episode 12 coming right up. Discord, talk to me about the show. YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that kind of stuff. Possessed by the YouTube clout demon right there. Anyway, episode 12 coming right up. Rightio, I have episode 12 up there ready to go. 22 minutes and 50 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly with your own copy, of course. I'm using the subs please version. Should be very similar to everything else that's out there. There's a picture-in-picture version in the description below for those that need it. If not, or if so, we're just going to give it a 3, 2, 1 and jump right in. Rightio. 3, 2, 1, go. That sync on the 3, 2, 1, go was very bad. But anyway, I'll fix it in post. It's fine. We're back. Apothecary Diaries. Very, very cool. Oh, this is so obvious. Okay. Because right then and there, I was trying to connect all the metaphors. So again, this push and pull of Mau Mau, right? We have a flower that is a bud, and then a flower in bloom. I want to keep the knowledge to myself and just keep my head down and be nonchalant. I want to tell everybody everything and be the hero. I want to hide my personal appearance with the makeup, right? With the freckles. I want to present to the world my true beauty and all those other things. Yeah, kind of about staying hidden or presenting everything. Those are the two sides that are being expressed through all the metaphors. And of course, you could connect the poisoning stuff into that as well. Bit of Icarus, flying too close to the sun, flying too close to that stuff may lead to your own self getting poisoned. But in that own way, she likes getting poisoned. Oh my god, it's so brilliant. Yeah, what is this? Explain. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. So is she an aunt, maybe? Oh, okay. I agree. That's a lot. I don't understand, but sure. Thank you, garbage truck outside being really loud. You should probably do what Mau Mau would like, I think. Fair enough, you like her. We know that. But I caught feelings, Gao Shun. Please. Okay, so now you're getting this information regardless. Yeah, that is a lot of people. 80 out of 2,000. Oh. Oh, that's funny. She'll beat my ass. I love that that's the reason. Oh my god, why? Why go so hard? I love that, like, her reason's so goofy. Why are they animating the shit out of it? Look at them go. This shit's crazy. And again, all this predicated on I don't want to go back to the old lady that runs the brothel and get my ass beat and sold off. But she's pretty smart. She put that together pretty quickly. So I think the implication is that when she was kidnapped, they had like a fake family that she was a part of. And then that's why she would be connected there, even if not connected by blood. Gotcha. Or maybe connected by blood, we still don't know. Jinshi. I really like how empty this all is. You're on the list. You're gonna say what I think you're gonna say? Hmm. Okay, no, I thought you were gonna go the more goofy reason. But you guys both want the same thing, so it's fine. It's an interesting... Yeah, you actually like it here at least a little bit. But also for the goofy reason. Oh. Oh. Jinchi is really interesting here. Yeah, cool. That's an interesting decision. Okay, bye. I'm sure she's gone for good. I had to do my job. Oh no. Xiao Mao. Oh, like literally toy. Gotcha. And then yeah, I remember the preview from last week. We have Jinchi coming here, right? It's a work party. Okay. Rich noble, you say? Oh yeah, you were able to, yeah, okay, pay the old lady. What? No. You look so much better without your freckles. See what happens to me without the freckles? Yeah. I wonder. I don't know. Yeah, noble's party, you say. Anyway. Just steal. It's only rich people. Oh. Ugh. I saw a guy in the corner. Oh. Yeah, that instrument, right? That was the one they were talking about before. Starts with the E. I think so. Can't believe Mama didn't notice immediately. I guess he's hiding in the corner. This episode's really pretty. The soundtrack's really pretty as well. Said that a few times now. It might just be really good. Might just be a really good soundtrack. Who's that? How do you not know? The voice acting there was awesome. Hey, that's a lot. Yeah, I love the yet. Oh my god. Huh? Yeah. I want to eat more poison, so let me back in. I love the miscommunication there at the start. Like, he didn't even know that she wanted to stay. Well, neither do you. Oh no. Right, Jinchi's a freak. Now I remember. Just the fingers. Okay. Touching the lips? I'm not forgiving you for the whole honey shenanigan last week. Alright, indirect kiss. Andy. Oh, and then the lipstick, yeah, the lipstick's really cool now. Ah! I don't remember much of what happened after that. Okay, I'm off again. Right? Somewhat. Oh, freckles, right. That certainly was the plot. Oh, this is a little bit recap episode-y. Yeah. I guess this is the end of the first core. What? Take a look at someone? Somebody that is ill? No, you didn't. You wanted to go back. Ah! Jump scare. I thought that was already confirmed, but you're still unsure. Okay. I know. The show's been saying that quite a bit. It's cold. You should maybe verify some things with Dad about certain ladies giving birth. Anyway, that's what I would do. Reasons for him being kicked out of Rhea Palace. I literally saw your name in a document. I know you were there. Maybe you don't want to know the answers. Pretty. Music's good too. Insert song, like montage of older stuff. Remember Fuyo? That was amazing. It was very good. That was good too. Slap a bitch. Evil girl. Oh, she was alright. Great shot. Another great shot. Another great shot. They're picking great shots, everybody. You definitely killed that baby. Well, kind of. You didn't help. Love that shot. Love that scene. Oh, we must think about it from Jinchi's perspective as well. His mother just left, and now, based on circumstances, Mao Mao has to as well. That's why he's so passionate about this, obviously. Seems to me that it's kind of in your own hands. You can kind of do whatever you want. Alcohol wore off. Time to go back to actual bed and not freeze my ass off. The fuck is that? Oh, she'll know what it is. Yep. Okay, you don't get a choice in the matter. Gotcha. E-Day? Yeah, obviously I just talked about the Jinshi kind of character motivation to the episode, which I think is its most concrete element. That, hey, I just lost my mum, my biological mother. She had to leave for circumstances. Now you have to leave for circumstances too? That's fucking terrible. But on a macro level, the episode, it's essentially recappy. It's reaffirming. It's reviewing. It's a lot of stuff, right? It's it's trying to give context and reasons for the character's decisions going forward. It's important that Mao Mao ended the episode here not making a decision. So she's unsure which is better. She's unsure if she wants to go back to the rear palace or stay on the outside. In the end, they're kind of one and the same in a way. Like, I thought I was trapped there, but am I trapped out there? What do I really want to do with my life? She's caught at a crossroads. It's important that Jinshi makes the decision for her, based on what could happen in the future. If things go pear-shaped, then she could say, I never wanted this life, and all those other kind of things, right? But in reality, she was 50-50 on it. But yeah, we're just trying to, like, you know, end of a core. Let's just, hey, make sure everyone's on the same page about everything and the themes going forward. Preview. Freckles. Jinshi. Flower. Old lady. Jinshi. Game. The outer court. Hang on, they have outer courts? I thought there was just only the inner court. Anyway, I digress a lot. I'm going to go to the next episode now. Episode 13, the start of a new core. How cool is that? Was there a break? Chat room, let me know. Was there a break between these cores as well when it aired? That'd be an interesting question. Or was it kind of presented as one whole? Anyway, let's move on to the next episode. Let's do that. Radio, next episode, episode 13, up there, ready to go. Seems like we're not starting with the opening too, which is kind of strange. I guess we didn't really have a lead-in from last episode, really. There wasn't really a, you know how we get like a little element of the next mystery? We didn't really get that, so maybe this is the kind of chance to rectify that, just show a little bit of intrigue right here in the very start. Either way, same as always, 22 minutes and 51 seconds, not same as always, crazy stuff. And yeah, there'll be a picture-in-picture version, subs please, sub-track, let's do this thing. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, temple. Who's this freak? Oh, the Emperor. Your voice is really fucking weird. The Gardener, my metaphor. Interesting. I doubt you really have. Seems counterintuitive. New opening? What is this? Wheat. Let's go. Flour. What is this? Bop. Let's go. Holy fuck. Fruits basket vibes? Kinda. That one opening of Fruits Basket, you know the one. Okay. Bro is hella buff. Flower. Am I going to sound like a hater if I said that this opening's already better than the other one? I'm going to talk a lot about that opening. I think it's really good. Song's amazing too. Hang on, let me readjust. There we go. Feeling a bit straight turn now. Customers. And, you know, the other thing as well. They've all kind of got that advantage over Mau Mau. Yes, ma'am. So we can make hella money too, hella stacks. Okay, it feels like you're less in it for the money and more in it for the other side of it, which I guess is your prerogative. Yep. I know, I watched the show. Yeah, what is that? Caterpillar fungus? Yeah, the whole... Yeah? Yeah? I wonder how Dad really feels. How many mortars and pestles do you need? Can't Jinchi vouch for me? Get a bit close with Dad. Thanks, Dad. Nobody has no mother. That's not how that works. Can you tell me about this mother of yours? Please. Whoa! Oh yeah, I remember this from the preview. Okay. Funny. Jinchi's gonna fucking fall over. I know. I know the vibes. Jinchi's flabbergasted. What? What? I know. I'm well aware, Show. I know that he likes her and he's kind of bashful about it. Well, for lots of reasons. There's the whole social status angle too. And now he's getting all jealous. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Now that's interesting. I'll end up talking about that too, I think. Now, who's this mad scientist freak person? Explain yourself. What? That guy's just eavesdropping too. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that this was the vibe. Hello, whoever the hell you are. Oh, you're also his. Okay, so I'll be working with you. Suren. Shamao. Suren. I like the nickname. It's cute. Yeah, you're a servant in name only. Okay. We'd have to study? Oh, hell no. My mum sold me to One Direction? What's happening? So, same costume, different materials. Okay. Somebody's toking up over there. It's just me. Things happen. Yeah, they're freaks. What the hell? Oh, sexy. Wasted sex appeal, you say? Ah, you keep implying things about the the man side of it too. Always the enterpriser. Entrepreneurial. What? The tongue click. Yes, we shall. Let's go. I see. It's a bit of a different vibe than the rear palace, right? A lot of dudes. I'm with you. I think that's everybody. Sounds really boring. I'm more focused on the medicinal ingredients nearby. Yeah. Is that charcoal or something? Now, I'm cognizant that this is a mystery show and that a lot of what I'm seeing now could be maybe evidence. Important stuff. You still don't. Oh, yeah. You kind of know. You're denying yourself that you do know. Gotcha. What's up? Yeah, no, it's antagonistic early. She's very tall in the back. Yeah. Mm hmm. My eyes up here. It was an aggressive tone. Stop trolling. Funny, though. You're clearly different. Cool. Yeah, you're clearly important. Whoever that is, the tall one. You're very smart, Meow Meow. Oh no, he hurt. No. Oh hell no. Oh, so he didn't see all of it. Okay, bye. I implied some things about Jinchi which were not good. What's in the box? Oh, that box. You're creepy ass. Oh, exams came quickly. Oh my god, the colors. Jesus. The sky. How cool's that? Alright, are you going to discover something? Oh, herb. Mound. Hill. Who just punched her in the back of the head? Okay. Coward punched me. Bitter smell? Explain yourself. So Mr. Monocle, he's a military guy. Oh, he's a freak. Nah, get this guy off my screen. I already know. Nah, okay. Doctor Doom looking ass. Smoking pipe. Bitter smell? He's really hot. Like, even I can tell. You know what I mean? Yeah, notably the last opening and ending were very minimalist, where these are way more traditional. And I'm probably liking it a tad better. Hello, Herb Girl. It's interesting at the very end that she's drawn into another something by looking for herbs again. It even mirrored the shots a little bit of when she was looking for herbs and then she got kidnapped, right? So she's looking for herbs again and she's drawn into something else. I think that's kind of what we're trying to get at. The scene at the very start with the Emperor was very, very interesting. Will probably end up being majority of the conversation of this episode even. There's a couple of other interesting things, but there's a very clear delineation in the cause. Like, this is very different already. Clearly building into some different mysteries. as we can see here. Oh, yeah, of course. I forgot that we had someone new coming as well. That's nice. Yeah, we'll leave it here today. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll talk about both of those episodes again. Definitely, potentially, I actually like the way I did it. I think finishing one core, and hopping straight into the next one, gave me you have to reconcile the first part and then move on to the second part, right? And both episodes have a very clear structure in that regard. One is very clearly closing a loop, one is very clearly opening one. And I think that's, seeing that in tandem was pretty interesting, I think. Because I was going to say, maybe I should have just did 12 last week as well and just did a 3-bagger. But that would have been last week's episode. Really, really long. And yeah, I don't know what I would have done this week then. Probably another 2, I guess, because just this one episode wouldn't have been enough. Anyway, I digress. I'll return tomorrow. We'll talk about the show some more. Clearly a lot to talk about, and looking forward to doing so. I'll see you then. And we're back. Next day, episodes 12 and 13, reacted to. What did I think? I thought it was damn excellent. Yeah, both episodes did exactly what I needed them to do. Well, not that I'm the grand arbiter of what episodes should do, but they did a good thing, right? Which is, hey, this is a 2-core show. Clearly we're delineating it into 2 cores, and there's a pretty definite difference between the 2 cores. It feels like we've closed one loop and opened another, which is exactly what the 2 episodes here set out to do. So, hooray, full marks. I liked it. It can, everyone else can like it now too. Now, I went into this episode here, episode 12, with a few, I guess, misunderstandings that got cleared up pretty quickly. Okay, let me explain the way I understand it before going back through the episode. So, when Mao Mao got kidnapped, there was some kind of system or family or something in place, which is essentially her, fake family, where she's from, who she's being, I guess, sold from to the rear palace, I guess. Right? And the fake family was a merchant family, right? Again, this stuff is probably better explained in a novel format. In the anime, you only have a set amount of time. It's harder to make this kind of payoff, right? So all we need to know is that for all intents and purposes, legally, Mao Mao is associated, related to this merchant family, right? This merchant family also did business with Fengming, so she has her honey stuff going on. She's also involved with Arduo. Clearly pretty important. Thus, would have done business dealings. As we see in the episode, 80 of 2,000 people were associated, so they all get laid off. If you're even remotely associated with the poisoning of a consort, then you need to get out of here. We're going to get you out of here. And apparently Mao Mao is implicated with such a thing. So, now the decision falls on Jinshi and what he's going to do about it. And yeah, that's where a lot of the drama of the episode lies, between Mao Mao and Jinshi, figuring out what they even want from this thing. Does Mao Mao feel like she's imprisoned within the rear palace? Does she feel like she's imprisoned by her circumstances outside of it? Is there really that much difference between the two? For Jinshi, I kind of explained this at some point during the episode reaction as well. It's pretty interesting timing that Arduo leaves, right? So she's gone. That is, for all intents and purposes, up to our knowledge, that's Jinshi's mother. So she's going, right? Part of his support network. He's clearly a pretty troubled character. We'll get into it. And now we have the next person next to him that kind of has his back, that he spends a lot of time with, that kind of, he wants to be with, right? He likes her. So her leaving at the same time, that's bad. Now the question becomes, does Jinshi value Mao Mao beyond her purposes as a toy, as a distraction? Does he value her as a person? Or is it another pawn on his board? Or another pawn on somebody else's board as well, as we see with the Emperor a little bit later on in episode 13? Yeah, that's where the drama lies in episode 12, and I think sets up some interesting plot points and a very, very interesting character dynamic between Jinshi and Mao Mao going into episode 13 and beyond. Just really good. So yeah, I'm going to jump into the episode here and talk about all that same stuff again, pretty much. But with some examples and so forth. So as I said, Fengming, family connections, all of her assets seized and getting liquidated, whatever you want to say. There's a word for it. But importantly, our duo is completely innocent. She isn't implicated in any of it because we can prove that she wasn't associated with the poisoning. It was something done on her behest without her knowledge, if that makes any sense, right? So she's kind of in the dark about all this, and Mao Mao knows more than she's letting on and isn't telling that information. Again, feeling some amount of sympathy for a character like Feng Ming, right? Here's the exact wording for Mao Mao's situation here as well. The family that the apothecary was kidnapped and sold off to was one such family. So, kidnap Mao Mao, sell her off to family, family then puts her into Rear Palace and then like essentially puts her to work, and then they're taking the money as well, if that makes any sense. That's kind of the vase stuff earlier in the show as well, where we kind of break that vase to kind of piss off this family that is selling me off, essentially, right? And then Mao Mao starts to make money on her own terms, and then by the very, very end, right, by episode 13, she's definitely making money on her own terms because she's just working for Jinchi, right? So let's take a step back from literal events happening in the show and talk about characters some more, right? This is a very, very, very important moment for Jinchi, right? It's the precipice between this being a little plaything that I'm not really that interested in and something that I'm willing to do the wrong thing for, right? As we know, Jinchi is in a high position of power. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. If I say so, it will be done. Am I willing to put my neck out for this girl, right? Or am I going to continue to lie to myself and just say that it's all okay and it's just a fun little fling type thing, right? Again, I've talked about the mother connection there, but there's another really important one at the start of episode 13, right? I feel like Jinchi on some level is really jealous of Mao Mao, right? And her brilliance, and her being able to figure out things that he isn't able to figure out, and wishes he could be more like her in some respects. So, he's like my brother, the Emperor, right? Well, we're imagining brother, but yeah. He's a really shrewd people person, and he's also a fearsome fighter, or at least a really good people person. He's pretty shrewd, right? Now, I am only just okay at those two things. I'm better than the average guy, but only slightly better, right? Where he's brilliant, right? And Mao Mao's brilliant. These brilliant people around me, and I feel inferiority towards them, right? The only things I have going for me are my looks, which we'll talk about as well, and my power. So one, Mao Mao isn't really interested in my looks. Is she interested in the me beyond my looks and that kind of thing? That's a question to be asked. And the other one is keeping Mao Mao trapped here even what she wants, right? Like, if am I any better than just a prison guard if I'm telling her to stay here without her genuinely wanting to be here? And then the miscommunication begins and Mao Mao really isn't sure where she wants to be. Yeah, so a lot going on inside your head right now, right? There's also a further wrinkle as well. If Mao Mao really didn't want to be in the Rear Palace, wanted to be back where she used to be, right? And she found out that I was the person that kept her here, she would resent me forever. Wouldn't that be terrible? I would hate that. Gao Shun, he clearly sees that Jinchi's pretty tormented about this decision. I thought she was just a convenient pawn. Well, not really. I like her a little bit more than that, and I'm not willing to admit it, and I let my pride get in the way, and I push her away even further, when in reality that's not what I want to do. It's a pretty good character dilemma, right? Like, I can understand both sides of himself pulling him in either direction. Maybe like another character that is pulled in two directions pretty constantly as well. Now, I hope that the developments in the plot doesn't limit your interactions with Xiaolan here, right? Because I just think that she's adorable and she serves a great purpose, and I like her, and so I want her to stick around. But she does her job here. She says the exposition, many people are being laid off. And in contrast to the grand turmoil of the last conversation between Gao Shun and Jinchi and his internal stuff, we have Mao Mao taking a way more comedic edge. This would be really bad timing if I was to be laid off because I haven't been able to send any more paying customers to the old lady. She's going to sell me off instead. You could argue tonal whiplash, but I think it's pretty funny. I laughed in the moment. Oh, and then all this, right? So, again, I'm not the animation snob guy, but I can talk about framing and stuff. So, do we see any fucking characters around besides that guy? Like, but In the shots where she's like running around, do we see any characters around? It feels like she is without any friends here. Like the walls are closing in on her and she's struggling to find a way out. Now, it's interesting because the initial tone of it was very comedic. So a lot of this scene is being played comedically for that reason, but we kind of backfill a little bit later on for the reasons why she actually wants to stick around the Rear Palace, right? It's in that grand metaphor of the push and pull of the character, right? Like, on one level, I want to keep a low profile, go back to where I was, be like my father, right? Leave all this Rear Palace stuff behind, leave all the connections behind, and just live a simple life. On the other end, of course, you know, doing what I'm doing now, being out and proud and embracing my talents, and even to the detriment of myself sometimes, doing the right thing. Working for justice, all these other things, right? I see, and again, follow me on this one, I see an X, right? So follow the X up from the 2 points, right? We're going to follow up. The 2 walls are closing in, right? Until we get to that nexus point, the decision. Which way will I go from that decision point after that? And this is what that scene's kind of metaphorically getting across, is that the walls are closing in. Hey, you can't just be idle anymore and not make a decision. You have to figure out what it is you want. Do you want to be here in the Rear Palace or do you not? Ironically, by the very end of the episode, she still hasn't even really made a choice. The choice is still made for her, allowing this character conflict to continue on into the subsequent episodes. But yeah, I just think the animation's really neat as well, so that just goes a long way too. Not the first time the show's had really neat animation, I'll tell you that. I really like this cut as well. We have a lot of tense music playing as Mao Mao's running around and all that nonsense, right? Then we cut back to Jinshi. No music, very matter of fact, very flat shots. He's made his decision. He feels like he's internally consistent with his choice. He feels at peace, but it's also, the scene is very drab. It's very dry. It's like there's going to be nothing interesting left in his life once Mao Mao has gone as well, right? He's almost facing his life without Mao Mao right now, and it looks very boring. The scene culminates here with Jinshi and Mao Mao meeting up and her learning her fate, essentially. Also a reversal in the character traits, right? Normally we see Jinshi, he's the one that's flustered around Mao Mao, or, you know, something to that effect. He's normally the one out of breath. And Mao Mao keeps her, you know, cards pretty close to her chest. She doesn't really come out emotionally like this as much, right? This kind of stuff. It's because Jinshi's now lying to himself a little bit. He's saying, oh yeah, Mao Mao's not that important to me. I have to act like it. I have to act a little bit more stoically in her presence. Act like my position in front of her, act like I'm the nobility and she's the commoner. He lets the facade slip here slightly. What do you want to do? This is a genuine question that he wants to know, right? Other than that, it's very boss-employee before this point, right? He just genuinely wants to know what she wants to do here. Because again, if Jinshi had his way, he would just get her to stay, right? It's about what Mao Mao wants and how she would actually feel about having to stay, right? What is it that you want? That's the important question here, right? Then almost the exact opposite situation is happening with Mao Mao, where she's like, actually, I'm enjoying this Rear Palace life more than I'm willing to admit at this moment, right? But I'm in no position to request to stay. I am a commoner. I'm not... It would be... If Jinshi is a stickler for the rules, and I ask such a thing, it would be in poor taste. The tack that she ends up going for is that I can fulfill my role as a commoner. I'll do as you order, whether it be manual labor, cooking, tasting, anything you order, right? No, that's not how I want this relationship to go. I want you to be free. I don't want you... He thinks he's doing the best thing for her right now. But in reality, it's just a grand miscommunication, right? The miscommunication of the scene culminates with kind of the decision by Jinshi to make sure that you're compensated, right? He thinks it's a money thing. He thinks that Mao Mao isn't attached to any of the extra stuff, and well, it kind of is a money thing with the lady at the house. It is kind of a money thing. But mostly it's like, hey, I don't want to leave this life behind. I'm actually liking the taste of the poison a little bit more than I'm willing to admit here at this moment. Again, miscommunication. Jinshi thinks that Mao Mao would be happier if she went and was paid. Mao Mao thinks that she's, I guess, what's the word? insisting if she was to ask to stay. Again, they come back together in the end, but the circumstances behind their relationship do change. We then time skip slightly. Mao Mao has all her shit packed away and she is being sent back home. And yeah, undercutting the serious tone of the previous scene, we have Jinchi now sulking about it. Classic anime trope, mushrooms on head, crouching in the corner. Classic stuff. Now again, question mark, who is Gao Shun? Because, like, he's been with Jinchi since he was a young boy. Like, essentially, his carer from a young age. Like, it's always been hard to find him a new toy, like, relating all the way back to when he was very young. Yeah, clearly a long-standing relationship there, and you're pretty high up, kind of nobility-wise, right? Because you were in a weird spot in the garden party. You seemed important. There's the line there from Gao Shun as well. Jinchi only let her go because he didn't want to treat her as a tool, wanted to treat her as a person. At the very end of everything, the kind of undercut of all of this is that their next relationship is literally using her as a tool. You're literally working for me now. So now we skip ahead quite a bit, I think. And I'm trying to read between the lines here. I think this entire thing is an elaborate setup to get Mao Mao and Jinchi in the same room again, right? Because Gao Shun says that I'll talk to that military officer, probably talking about Li Haku, right? Something, let's talk to the person that went to the Verdigris house so we can then communicate with the Verdigris house and tell them to come here, make sure you bring Mao Mao, and then let's put Jinchi and Mao Mao in the same room. Right? I don't know whose property it is. We'll have to check if it looks like Jinchi's house, but maybe they're doing it somewhere else. Again, elaborate setup to get Mao Mao and Jinchi back together again, to help Jinchi to stop sulking, essentially. Here we go back to one of the show's tried and true techniques, that being the makeup, right? Let's take off the makeup, let's take off the freckles, let's take down the protection, and then see what happens between you and Jinchi, right? Again, you can preface a lot of that previous conversation a little bit earlier as both parties being guarded, right? Jinchi has his defenses up around his status and so forth. Mao Mao has hers up around her makeup and so forth. You can see what we're getting at there. We take down these defenses, and then we're able to speak a little bit more cordially. The lipstick here is another wrinkle in the whole makeup metaphor as well, especially once Jinchi grabs a little bit of it and does the whole secondhand kiss thing. Again, something can be said about taking that makeup, almost taking it off in a way, and smooching on it and that kind of thing, right? Again, Mao Mao also argues that she's only coming along insofar as to make the other girls look better, but I don't think, again, you don't realize that you're the target of this the entire time. So that's, yeah, there's something in that too. The makeup, the poison, the flower, the everything, all the metaphors, right? There seems to be this increased push whenever Mao Mao takes the makeup off and they see how beautiful she is and that kind of thing, right? There seems to be this increased push for her to do that more often, right? Whether it be the ladies-in-waiting over at the Jade Pavilion arguing for her to do so, or it being kind of her courtesan buddies here doing the same thing. Like, oh my god, you look so pretty, and that kind of thing. The old lady wanting to sell her off and so forth. The start of the next episode where she's all dolled up as well and all the guys are all after her. Again, grand metaphor. I'm hiding my true beauty. I want to not be discovered. I want to not be noticed. I want to just pass by. Will we be able to reconcile that once you become more involved with Jinchi, right? Whether that be in an official capacity as well, considering Jinchi's status, right? Will you be becoming more like the courtesans, more like the consorts in the rest of this as well as the show continues? You would have to imagine so. So I took a look at the outside shot. I don't think that this is Jinchi's home, but it's probably somebody else's that's related, right? Just another fun detail, there's some background characterization for a few of the side characters. I'm imagining this is Pyrin, because she seemed to be really interested in muscly dudes before. Again, implied to be more into the whole courtesan thing on account of it just being hot, and she likes doing it more than the money side, where I think the other two are on the other page. She's just horny, and she's allowed to be, and that being a defining character trait of a female character for once is kind of cool. I like it. Yeah, I really think this episode's quite well produced. I should look up a director and that kind of thing. It stands out with, well, not as good as 4, but like 4. I think it stands out on the production end. The music in this episode as well, top notch, as I said during the reaction. So this would also imply that this meeting was unbeknownst to Jinchi. Jinchi was kind of just invited to whatever this is. He didn't really know who Verdigris House was because he never truly wanted to learn, I guess, because that information would have been available. He's just kind of drowning his sorrows. He doesn't think that Mao Mao is ever going to be back. He's still depressed weeks later or whatever, right? This makes me feel like it's a Gaoshun setup. Like, let's get Mao Mao and Jinchi in the same room again with the guards down so they can talk to each other one-on-one. I find it unrealistic that you wouldn't recognize Jinchi straight away. I guess he had his head in his hands, but I guess there's some irony in you not recognizing Mao Mao though. Voice acting's really good too. I love the intonation on like "Don't touch the courtesans," right, as he tries to like brush the hand away. It's just a really good line read, really, really good. Mao Mao sees another opportunity here. He hears that she's working as a courtesan, and then he seems to be obsessed with her chastity for whatever reason, mainly because he likes her, which is interesting because you don't have like a penis. But anyway, I digress. I don't really want to think about the subject if I'm honest. She sees an opportunity to tease and she's going to take it. Once Mao Mao's current predicament is reframed as being a prostitute, he brings up the idea of purchasing her, right? Working in the rear palace again wouldn't be too bad. Upon this context, you're actually willing to be a little bit more honest, right? I wasn't really liking what I'm doing right now. I didn't mind the rear palace. Being there again wouldn't be too bad. And again, we've resolved our problems. We're able to communicate more openly based on this, again, premise of the conversation, as opposed to the very, very official premise that was there before. Jinchi's very bad at hiding his feelings. He clearly wants her to stay because he likes her. You're very steadfast in the fact that you want to stay there because of the poisons. It's my apothecary stuff. It's my job. That's why I want to be there, right? All the poisoning stuff. And yeah, she does like apothecary and poisons and potions and whatever else, right? But again, you're in denial. I think you like some element of feeling important as well and advising all these important people. Using your other talents for deduction. Again, pot, kettle, black. Do people ever say that you don't express yourself clearly? You're both in that camp, I feel. Tsundere, if you really wanted to pull that word out there. Now, this is my evidence for this whole thing being a little bit more of a setup, is that it seems like everybody's attention is now on Mao Mao, when in reality, she's kind of in the corner of the room in the dark with Jinchi, right? Why else would they be looking in this direction? Maybe they're just interested in their younger sister and what she might be doing and that kind of thing, where he really wants to touch her and she's playing hard to get, and then he ends up touching the lips in a weird way. Not as bad as the honey, but still a little bit weird. This one at least, well, the other one was a metaphor too. This one's a metaphor as well. They're all metaphors, but it's still like weirdo stuff. Again, then the embarrassment ensues. Mao Mao realizes that everybody saw Jinchi just do that, grab the lipstick and kiss it and that kind of thing. Everybody's literally looking in her direction. And then Gaoshun's fucking hiding in the shadows too, like a big old creep. It feels like it's a setup. It feels like we put you two together for this exact thing to occur. I couldn't make much sense of any of it. I don't remember much of what happened after that. Yeah, it was definitely a setup, right? That's really fun. So we go from here, like Mao Mao surrounded by the three bigger ladies, let's say, and then over here to this bouquet where the one flower in the middle, that's probably representing Mao Mao, surrounded by three different larger accompaniments, right? But which one stands out the most? Which one was the target of what's going on? The flower right there in the middle, right? I feel like the show starts on this flower too. Does it not? I feel like it does. It's like a yellow daisy or something. I don't know. Then the episode goes a little bit recap episode-y towards the very end here, which is kind of not great. Like, it's like, oh yeah, 1 year ago exactly, I got kidnapped and I should wear my freckles and that kind of thing, right? Again, you must remember that the general audience isn't going to be watching it and then watching it again and talking about it into a camera for an hour. Like, that's not what people do. So again, all this is, well remembered by myself, but the general audience, that was 12 weeks ago. That was like a quarter of a year. That was a season ago. So reminding people is a little bit more necessary, I guess. So this is the same character, question mark, as well. So Mao Mao, can you come take a look at somebody with me? Is this the same character in the annex that we've been visiting many a time? Seems like it based on the lips and the hair and that kind of thing, right? And then almost in a very Naoko Yamada way, she goes for like the hair touch after that, right? So Mao Mao, can you almost have like one final look here before you go again, right? No good. Shake the head. Sighs. And then hand through the hair there. Okay. Like, this is troublesome. This is something that I'm simultaneously unhappy and happy to leave behind, I guess. So I'm going to dock the episode points here again. I've watched it again and I went to the same conclusion again. I thought it was a done deal by the end of that little party with Jinshi, and now we're second guessing it. Are you really going back to the Rear Palace? It's like it's your decision again, right? And it's like you're umming and ahhing about it, where, as presented in the conversation with Jinshi, it seems like they're on the same page again. For whatever reason, you rescinded on your previous enthusiasm to go back to the Rear Palace. Is that predicated on the scene that just happened before with the lady that was lying down in the dark room? Maybe. Feels a little bit inconsistent. Feels like there needs to be a little bit more internal dialogue there to show a little bit more hesitation. Because in the end, the decision is taken out of your hands. Jinshi shows up and basically buys you out. So again, you continue to and ah about where you even want to be because you were confused and Jinshi just came and bought you and you got swept up in the flow instead of making the flow yourself. I guess it's there so that thematic line can continue. Like, am I in here because of circumstance, because of other people's control, or am I in here because I want to be in here? Like, in reality, I think there's going to be this grand difference between the brothels and the Rear Palace and that kind of thing, but they're pretty similar, all things considered. So in that case, what one should I choose? Should I choose the one that's more dangerous for my personal health, or the one where I feel a little bit more used and can do the poisoning stuff and that kind of thing a little bit more often? Do the tasting. This scene is personified by stasis, where we're icy, where we're frozen over, we're unsure which way to go, frozen in place, if you wanted to be that direct. Another couple of contrast points, of course, as well. Alcohol. Alcohol's not warm per se, but it makes you feel warm inside. So taking a bit of sake out with her, having a drink at the night, letting the snow fall on her. It's just a really moving scene for her to be figuring things out, I guess, as well. It's well framed and that kind of thing. She seems small and insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but she's still the focal point. She's still in the end important to what's going to happen here, even if she doesn't realize it. She comes to the realization that both the brothels and the Rear Palace, they're both a garden and a cage, right? Don't get me started on cages and eggshells and breaking the world's shell and that kind of thing. That's a whole other show. But the same kind of principles apply here, right? I was at a garden party. There is beautiful gardens and so forth in the Rear Palace. But in reality, it's still a place where many a character are trapped by circumstance. We celebrated a character escaping such a cage in Fuyo earlier in the show. And I'm sitting in a garden right now, and that garden is hugely beautiful. Who's to say it's more or less beautiful than what's in the Rear Palace? Is there beauty out here as well? Again, that push and pull of Mao Mao, where should she go? Continuing the recap episode edge to this episode in particular, we have a insert song and a montage of various footage from previous episodes. I think it's pretty effectively placed and serves as a good reminder of what's come before. In particular, showing off Fuyo there as well. It just works. It's a good metaphor, I think. In particular, it even reflects this scene on the wall, right, where we saw a very similar shot and she was pondering the grand world out there, sitting on top of the cage, right? Sitting on top of the walls of the Rear Palace. Is this a blessing? Is this a curse? Do I want something like Fuyo? How do I get something like Fuyo? Do I want love like that as well? Lots of stuff. Another contrast point here, of course, would be this episode, right? Where we see a character... This is almost framed in a very similar way to Fuyo as well. So this was the stuff with the other brothel in town, right? Not that there's only two, but you know what I mean. Where we went to investigate and they were trying to kill that merchant guy. Based on Mao Mao's intervention there and what she did... You're still on your term. You didn't get what you wanted out of the situation. You're still trapped, right? The same way that a consort is trapped by her circumstance and relation to the emperor, and trapped in the Rear Palace being a consort and that kind of thing, you're trapped in here being like a prostitute. You're trapped by your term, right? What's the difference between the two, really? Not much. They're both really the same. The insert song sequence there, that whole montage, is framed as you recollecting things as well, so it kind of has a little bit more of a diegetic meaning in the scene too, which I like. It isn't just the show randomly cutting to things, it's a character actually thinking about it, which again is half the battle. Again, this is what I mean by closing the loop, right? We've closed the loop on that part of the story through that scene, and then a few days later, a beautiful noble comes to the pleasure district. Let's open up that next loop, let's continue the show. Specifically, he buys the old lady out with money, so she likes money, she starts celebrating like crazy, and we bring some random ingredient to Mao Mao and causes her to do the same. hey, this is how I'm buying you out. I'm literally buying you out with poison ingredients. Remember what Mao Mao said. She wants to stay in the rear palace, predicated on being able to do more stuff with the apothecary stuff, having more resources, being able to experiment on herself, all that kind of stuff, right? Being a taster. This is a representation of that. It's in a lot of ways cowardice on Jinchi's part. It's like, hey, I'm using you for your purpose, as opposed to opening a box and it having something else inside, right? Maybe a ring. A representation of love instead. No, I want you for your purpose. I want you for your apothecary skills and nothing else in between. Interesting. I just think the opening of the box here is curious. Again, normal girl wouldn't care about such a thing. This is the type of thing to make Mao Mao go crazy. In exchange, he asks for a certain girl. Hey, Mao Mao's gone back to, well, not the rear palace, but the palace, I guess. Moving swiftly onwards, I believe after this opening scene and the opening itself, we should have a little bit less to talk about, because a lot of it is just setup. A lot of it is, okay, these are elements of a mystery that will appear, and all these things will become relevant as the show has been set up, right? I'll try to mention a few things that seem curious, but other than that, it's a little bit more jokey as well, this second half of the episode. So again, almost see this as a new season starting up. We start with this really grand wide shot of where these two are speaking and that kind of thing. Very important palatial type operation. Specifically here, we don't get the context to the conversation. We just kind of say, hey, so what will you do? Jinchi, after all, you're the gardener maintaining my flower garden, right? So, let's talk about the Emperor, right? The Emperor seems to be tactically shrewd. That seems to be the thing that he has going on. You can see as such through the wine glass and the kind of hand on the chin there. He's a thinking guy, you know? In that way, Jinchi is a pawn in his game, right? He is working for the Emperor, right? Even though, again, they're related. Maybe. You're the gardener maintaining my flower garden. You're in the rear palace. The rear palace is the flower garden. All these kind of characters in the show have been represented by flowers. That makes a lot of metaphorical sense there. And Jinchi appreciates his level of cunning. So again, Jinchi is a control mechanism. Jinchi is a pawn in his game. You are to help the garden from becoming overgrown and unwieldy, right? Your beauty is being used as a control mechanism for the largely female presence in the rear palace, right? They'll want to please you because you're a good-looking guy. So they'll do what you want. In turn, they'll do what I want, and I can maintain control over that area of the palace. Jinchi is frustrated. He is aware of this. He is aware that he is being used, but isn't tactically strong enough or have as much might in a military sense to be able to challenge this. Yeah, there's an irony to it. I want to be shrewd like him and Mao Mao and that kind of thing. I want to be physically strong like other characters, right? We saw early in the series you're practicing very early in the morning. Instead, I am granted appearance more beautiful than anyone else. Traditionally, a thing that would be associated with a set of feminine values, I guess, right? Something that traditionally women would appreciate more. You're almost put into a box where you want to achieve these traditionally masculine things, you know, be smart and tough and that kind of thing, but instead you're merely just beautiful. Again, in the scene, subtle stuff. He gets his wine glass poured for him. He doesn't get to pour it himself. He's not in control. He's not the guy in control of the game. So again, we don't see the premise for this conversation, but you, again, not really what you're thinking, but you agree to just continue to be the gardener, I guess. It would have to do with maybe the new consort, make sure that she's also in control as well. And there's an irony to this last line, right? So I'll continue to do whatever he wants, in that way I can choose my own path. Does that really sound like the truth? Or does it sound like a lie that you're maybe telling yourself? And again, you going out and attaining this thing that you don't currently possess, right? Literally going and buying Mao Mao and trying to garner her affections, right? It's trying to fulfill your own sense of inadequacy compared to your emperor brother, right? At least a little bit on some level. Maybe wanting to take back control for various other reasons as well that we'll get into as the show continues as well. Either way, new opening. Flower Field, Mao Mao in Flower Field. I'm going to try to break down a lot of these kind of disparate visuals and that kind of thing, but we're not going in too deep. We don't have lyrics up, I don't think, either. So first visual, getting up in the morning and then trying to like defend herself from this group of ne'er-do-wells. You're clearly the important one. I really like your character design, actually. grand contrast to Mao Mao. Beautiful and very tall. Interesting. I'm keeping an eye on you. I think you're very interesting. Next up here, it seems that Mao Mao is teaching some kind of class. What the fuck is this? All the fucking consorts are here, right? And all their head ladies in waiting. This seems like something that will just literally happen next episode, so maybe keep an eye on it there. This is the new character design for the new character too. I'm gonna be honest, chat room. Seems like trouble. I'm gonna be real. I don't know what the fuck happened here, but this is Lee Haku, and we're putting him. He was on fire. What? Did Jinshi fucking burp? Why is your hair flying back? What the fuck? Is he projecting gas outward? What is going on? Yeah, clearly just doing your like morning duty stuff. Suren, I'm keeping an eye on you. You seem to be bad news as well. I'm going to be completely real with you. Why is there nobody else here? Why are you the only one? Why do you're almost possessive over Jinshi in that way, I think? We see hot Jinshi here. Not much to glean there. This is literally just the scene from that episode. Jinshi continuing to be a weirdo. Maybe this is outside where all the consorts are, trying to listen in on Mao Mao. Jobless, very jobless. We're literally feeding her like crack. What is this? Alright. Who are you? Who are these characters? What the fuck? Okay, these guys are new, I think. Yeah, who's that? Then we have a long, elaborate shot of a blue rose decaying. Jinshi? Jinshi's blue? Oh, no, this guy. You're watching a blue rose disintegrate. And again, you're Giga Trouble, right? You're literally like an evil genius type character. You're like... He's got a monocle. He's bad. He's badass. And then very quickly through here, he kind of opens his eyes, right? Just frame by framing it. What am I looking at there? Placing a piece on a board. And the nails, the nail color there. Okay. You open your eyes even more, which opens up to a blue field of roses where Mao Mao is standing, and it's all very glowy and very beautiful. Again, the flowers... the flowered petals, the different colors representing the different characters in the show, up to and including this blue rose, which I'm seeing Jinshi in. Just, again, predicated on color. Yeah, lots of place and pieces on boards, which, again, matches the themes of the show pretty handily. Specifically, this person with the nails. They seem important. Blue rose again. So is the blue rose going to be a continuous thing? This is almost a very young character with this yellow flower again. Is this Mao Mao at a very young age? Are we going to do that Mao Mao character intro stuff? Grasping the heart? Something hurting her heart? Very early in her life? Keeping an eye on it. Somebody waking up in a fucking morgue? What is this? That was a corpse waking up? What was that? More very important stuff here. Is this the same character again? Is that another different? That almost looks like Jinshi. Jinshi in this like grand like evil hall? What is this? More importantly, we have jacked Lee Haku. He's like giga jacked. I can understand why Pyron feels the way she does. This character from before seems important. She's standing on that mound? Hang on. Is this the, that's not Tall Girl. It's not that tall girl either, but it's not the girl from this episode. Maybe it's her like younger sister or something. They seem very similar character design wise. Her at a younger age, and then just various pans to all the characters looking into the camera. You're getting older too, which is generally how aging works. What are you reading? Are you reading like the Kama Sutra or something? What's going on there? You're fucking dead to the world. Okay, and then you important also. Around Mao Mao's age, you would have to imagine. So maybe, an element in that, maybe. I don't know. Again, I think somewhere, once upon a time, there will be somebody that's way better at Hanakodoba and can look at this and, like, instantly tell me what it means. But there's this white flower there, too, which we focus on. And a distinct difference between the two openings. What is the first opening characterized by? Well, the very end, I guess. That key visual. It's Jinshi turning to look at Mao Mao, and Mao Mao is thinking to herself. She's looking down like this. Now we have both characters on almost an equal level, right? Looking at each other. So there's an equal fascination. Maybe a lot of this season will be diving into Jinshi a lot more and figuring out his deal. And you figuring out his deal through his actions and that kind of thing may increase this fascination between the two. I have more hopes for this being a genuine romantic relationship now than a one-sided weird thing that Jinshi had. So, good. That is good. All in all, just a fantastic opening. I really love the song there too. huge shoujo vibes, and some of those really, really good shoujo openings too. We start the episode with Mao Mao packing to go back to the rear palace, making sure to pack that makeup because you might need it. And a difference in values here. You've landed a good job, now go make as much money as possible. To do so, you'll need to look as pretty as possible, something that becomes a conflict point in the middle of the episode as well, with that group of ladies that kind of gang up on Mao Mao later on, don't think that she looks particularly pretty and attack her appearance. Now, you've landed such a nice job, make sure you do a good job. I'm going to keep being Mao Mao, I'm going to keep being kind of nondescript and keeping my freckles up. This kind of push and pull, again, as I've talked about. Now, again, should you be following the job advice of somebody that's literally a courtesan? Probably not. It isn't applicable to all fields, I wouldn't say, but maybe it is, and that talks about society as well. Again, Pyrin, horny, fair enough. It seems like, okay, looks, money, horny. That's how I'm characterizing these three, I guess. In combination with last episode, we're also doing a lot of recap stuff. This one, again, is justifiable based on this being the first episode of a new arc. As I asked the question before, I reiterate, was there a gap between the seasons as well, even 1 or 2 weeks? This kind of stuff would make sense. A little bit of a time skip towards you, again, becoming prepared here. We kind of backfill a conversation that you had with the father, right? I do have some reservations about going. From the outside looking in, it's a lucky break. I have reservations about going, mainly predicated on my father. He didn't seem overly happy about it. Dad said I should do as I like, but look at him. He looks fucking distraught. Again, predicated on your history in the rear palace. I wish that you were a better communicator and just kind of asked him about it. That would be great. You, literally have irrefutable evidence that he was there. Why not press it further? Dad seems a little bit distant and also advises Mao Mao that, hey, you're not going to be able to bring your mortars and pestles and so forth, right? They're just going to think you're going to poison somebody. Because again, you're not a doctor, you shouldn't have this kind of stuff, and you're not going to have the same advantages and disadvantages that you had when you were working for Gyokyo, right? You're different now, it's a little bit different. I don't know if you're going to have as many chances to do the apothecary as you think you're going to, right? There needs to be a genuine reason for you to purchase Mao Mao, and she can't just be making poisons and stuff. We do clarify here that there should be, once you get used to it and they become familiar with you, you should be able to do a few more things, so that's nice. Metaphorically in the scene, we see the dad placing another log on the fire, right? Which again can be read a little bit more cynically. Again, Dad's being very distant. As a nice final kind of gesture before she goes away, Mao Mao nestles up to the father a little bit more, pulls the kind of futon a little bit closer, and gets a nice head pat for her efforts, right? There's a genuine but subtle connection here between the two characters, and I really feel this kind of... It's strained, and they're both, not very in touch with their emotions, but they do care about each other. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about that. But before that, again, I said first and foremost, but whatever. The situation is different this time. She can kind of leave whenever she wants as well. She's not a slave to the rear palace. She wasn't sold off. She's got a little bit more autonomy. She's literally going to work to become a court something. We'll learn about it later on. So, again, she can come and visit home. It's not a biggie anymore. But this is the line I want to talk about. I have no mother, but I have a caring dad, a nosy granny, and a lively group of big sisters to keep me company. Why would I want to go back to the rear palace? And again, take some, I guess, element of peace in that she can come back anytime and visit these people that she cares about. Now, I don't know if you guys know how life works. You can't have no mother. That's not how that works. And in a show that's intrinsically so much about femininity and about female influences on other women and lots of other things, right? The presence of a mother character is a big sticking point for Mao Mao. It just is. I've brought it up a number of times. So much of the show is about birth as well. So much of it is about sex. So much of it is about connections between mothers and sons and mothers and daughters and that kind of thing. How does she feel looking at Gyokyo with her daughter? That being Mao Mao? Something happened there, and I'm going to keep saying it until we reveal what actually happened. Again, very, very aware of that lady in the annex. Very, very aware of it. Either way, on to the next scene. We've dolled Mao Mao up. Jinshi is very impressed, as is everybody else. A theme that will continue through this first portion of the scene. Everybody is now enamored with this new girl out of Vertigo's house that caught all this attention for this huge procession and that kind of thing. She's very pretty. Jinchi isn't deaf. He realizes this and becomes immediately a lot more protective of Mao Mao, right? This, again, is predicated on where we're going to be staying now, right? It's not the Rear Palace. It has a different name, which I'll see in a moment. But it's anybody can be there. It's not just eunuchs and women anymore. There are dudes. There are dudes there. There are hella dudes there. So I'm going to need to protect you from the hella dudes that are going to be around here, right? Also, another nice shitbait moment. You just kind of like lose yourself in her eyes for a moment. She does look very pretty there, for the record. Her eyes are just fucking massive. Yeah, definitely we're reflecting you off that new character for sure. Very similar character design-wise. Again, more of what we were talking about before. Jinchi notices this guy being enamored, gets all butthurt about it, and there is something to be said about you almost co-opting her protection mechanism, right? So instead of you wearing the freckles because you don't want to be harassed, essentially, right? And that being your protection mechanism on your terms, now we're having a male character coming in and using your protection mechanism to protect you from other males. Now, that is a reframing that I don't quite enjoy, and you need to, check yourself before you wreck yourself in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Gao Shun center frame too. So this guy's a freak, and he's playing the board game. This is Mr. Monocle, right? Where we only get a really small scene where he overhears, like he eavesdrops on somebody talking about Mao Mao in the Verdigris house. You seem to be interested off this very small scene. Again, this is the only time we see this episode except for close to the very end. Now again, there was a miscommunication here. You thought that you were going back to your exact same position. No, you're going to Jinchi's house. He's like literally bought you. You're going to be working for him, right? We call this the outer court as opposed to the rear palace, which was the inner court. Again, as I've said, the main difference here being the people that are just around. There's a whole lot more dudes, whole lot more. We very quickly meet the character of Su Ren, who defaults to calling her Xiao Mao, maybe predicated on Gao Shun, as we joke about here in a second. But I also think it's like, okay, you're his next cute little thing. He's probably done this before, that being Jinchi. How long are you going to stick around? Are you going to be weird about it like the other people were weird about it? I feel like you're initially a little bit hesitant about Mao Mao. Again, on the outside, you look pretty happy and fine. But kind of Feng Meng vibes as well. Just a little bit. What is this interaction as well? So Suren's showing her around a little bit, right? And then it's like, this over here is the young master's personal room and that kind of thing, right? And then looks at her, you should be all right. What does that mean? What do you mean by that? What an odd thing to say. And we just kind of cut away from it. Odd. And again, a few things we notice very early. The room itself it doesn't seem like a servant room. It's too big and that kind of thing. It's almost like it's halfway in between, like, a girlfriend-wife type situation and a servant. The lines are blurring a little bit. It's weird. But again, maybe this isn't as weird as I say it is. Maybe it's more befitting of a court lady. You're going to be his court lady. You do the court lady exam. That's how you're going to exist in this way. We make specific reference to Mao Mao putting on her freckles here. Pretty important stuff. And the same old costuming, right? Mainly, again, outside of the show. This would just be nice to do for the animators. You don't have to animate a new costume. Very cool. Do a new character sheet and all that kind of stuff. But also notably, the materials are different. It's the same thing, just nicer. Does it remind you anything? Like, hey, the rear palace and the brothels, same thing, just nicer. The outer court, the inner court, same thing, just nicer. Kind of that vibe, you know? It's literally the crack of dawn and Suren seems like she's been up for fucking ages, so good on her, I guess. She's a hard worker, and she's really protective about the food. Can I help you just serve? I can't let anybody else handle the personal side of things. Like, I'm gonna do all the cooking, I'm gonna do all that kind of stuff. Very protective almost, right? Maybe again predicated on what has happened previous with other young attendants and Jinchi. If they see him looking hot in the mornings, they may just want to jump all over him. All of this, of course, has the undercurrent of the whole poisoning thing as well. If you're going to prepare all his food, if Jinchi eventually ends up getting poisoned at some level, right, and you have to investigate, this could all be evidence, right? Something like that. Yeah, there was some weird previous attendance. Maybe they made him underwear made out of hair? What is happening? I don't understand. They're fucking freaks. What is that? Jinji hot. Continue. Next scene. But again, because you're different, you think about taking his essence and making it an aphrodisiac, as opposed to getting enamored with how he looks and him being hot. So I didn't really get this scene at first, but I think Jinshi asked the question, I can get you a new room if you like, is inviting her into his room, right? Because he's feeling horny. That's kind of a fun reversal there, I think. And then Gaoshun's like, no, stop, don't do that, that's bad. And then you ask for a stable, which is fucking weird, when in reality you want like a stove and something else. I don't know what the stable business is. But again, Gaoshun seems mostly relieved. You passed the test, I guess, right? Maybe you passed the test in Suren's eyes as well. You didn't read between the lines and see what he really wanted, or you did and asked a weird question instead. You didn't follow him in that way. You're not here just for his looks. We go into a little bit more of a montage-y segment. Gaoshun recommends that you don't go near where all the guys are, which is probably just good advice in general. And he's just kind of showing her around, showing her the ropes and that kind of thing. Mamao's ability to learn about things that she isn't personally interested in is very low, mostly like a lot of other people that I'm familiar with, like myself. If I don't care about something, I don't really want to learn about it. This scene personifies that. Gaoshun's showing all the buildings. This is the director of waters, which sounds just so boring, and she's more distracted by the medicinal herbs that are growing around the place. As we can see there, I don't care about the building, it's all about the plants. Or the lack thereof of medicinal herbs. There was more around the rear palace because that's where Dad was. Again, evidence, somebody had like charcoal and a knife. Suren, okay, weird. Take the charcoal here to this place. I guess it's mainly just a reason for you to visit Jinshi's office when he's not there. So you visit, you drop off the charcoal, and you note to yourself that it's pretty extravagant. How high up is he? I still don't really understand his position. Now, this doesn't make any sense, because you thought to yourself before that he's the Emperor's brother, right? You literally thought that. So you're almost lying to yourself in this scene going, I wonder who he is, when, again, you see evidence all around you proving your theory correct. Again, this isn't a slight on the show. This is interesting for Mao Mao, that she's like, she refuses to follow her own instincts and her own little, like, story there, her own little, like thing that she told herself. She thinks that it's nonsense, and she dropped it. And she literally dropped it. She does not think that anymore. Either way, here comes the Mean Girl Patrol. Very, very early on, you notice the one that actually has a character design, so a little bit more important there. So again, on some level, right, it's, hey, you're a court lady, we're sizing up the competition in that regard and your career and that kind of thing. But mostly this is just Jinshi, right? We like Jinshi, you're close to Jinshi, what are you doing being so close to Jinshi? It's just the same as everywhere else, right? It's the same as the rear palace. Same thing, just nicer. Again, Mao Mao's doing a Mao Mao thing here where she's just very nonchalant and just like doesn't really care and comes up with the perfect thing to scare them off. Again, she's been through this many, many different times already. She's had practice. Even gets slapped for her efforts. That being said, she didn't pick a good line. So you guys are jealous of me? No, we're not jealous of you. Who do you think you are? And then again, okay, so the idea here with this scene is quite funny, right? Their question is, why you? Why did he pick you specifically, right? Why are you almost like living with him, living in his house? Why are you his court lady? Why are you all these things, right? And you pose that question right back at them. Why would he fall for me? An ugly girl, right? Did the noble figure in your mind have such bad taste? Would he go out of his way for meatless chicken bones as opposed to all of you guys, which are glorious meals? In that case, specifically, he must have some interesting proclivities. I don't get it myself, but he does have some special tastes, I guess, right? Shows off the bandage. So again, the thing we're implying here is that Jinshi's freaky, and he does stuff with my arm, and that's why he keeps me around. Almost sadistic, right? Masochistic, that kind of thing. So he likes to do that kind of stuff to me, and that's the reason he keeps me around, because I'm the only person willing to go through with it. Disenchants them with Jinshi, gets them off her tail, freaks them out because it's something that people don't normally talk about. Perfect. 10 out of 10, no notes, Mao Mao. Throughout the entire scene, you're generally the focus because you're important. We'll learn more about you as we continue. Again, noting the blue rose in your hair and all the blue rose stuff that was in the opening, right? Are you that younger character as well that's in the opening? We'll check here in a second as well. Either way, the comedy of the scene reaches fever pitch when we learn that Jinchi was hearing part of it, but not the entire thing. You just implied some things about Jinchi that weren't great, and he doesn't entirely get it, and you need to hide that. Funny stuff. And yeah, try to sneak away as a result. Very, very cool. So what is this? What does it do? I don't know. You're being a creep. I don't know. She's studying for a test, and instead of studying, she wants to look at the thing that she got instead. Suren's watching. Make sure you keep it down and keep studying instead. But you're like creepy. Again, creepy vibes. Yeah, I don't really trust Suren. Mao Mao fails the exam. I don't know why they thought that she would be any good at that kind of stuff anyway. So Mao Mao, for right now, instead of being a court lady, is instead Jinchi's personal slave servant person. Cool. I noted I really like the sky here. Cloudy, mysterious. We don't know quite what's going on. The coloration's really prominent as well. I think it's really beautiful, this whole scene. Important to note here that you're just kind of walking around and you finally find some medicinal herbs, right? So you haven't been able to find these around. They're not as common as the Rear Palace. Cool. This reflects the very start of the show, where you were looking for medicinal herbs and got dragged into something that you didn't want to get dragged into. Again, there's a grand metaphor there for the entire program, right? I'm only in this predicament, right, because I'm an apothecary, because I'm curious, because I want to collect all these different things. That was the reason why I was there, to be kidnapped. That is the reason why I'm flinging myself again into this conflict that I have nothing to do with, right? You've seen things here that you shouldn't have seen, and that's going to drag you into something. You've been poisoned. You've been taken in by the poison. Is the poison ultimately a cure? Is it a weakness? We won't know. So again, all the way over to this mound. This mound is in the opening. The tone of the scene changes. She gets fucking coward punched by you. There shouldn't be any reason for you to go beyond this point. And then you smell some weird shit. Distinctly bitter smell from her. And we say, the military, huh? And then we leave. And Mr. Monocle has been watching us the entire time. And then we play, like, spooky audio cue. So you're, like, clearly a bad guy. You, like, eat people or something. And then we see a smoking pipe. Maybe something about the bitter smell, maybe. From the tobacco, maybe. Don't know, that's future stuff. We have an ED here, of course, as well. A few fun visuals. A very hot-looking Jinchi. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of Jinchi Mao Mao together. Kind of a shippy ED. I don't know. You kind of get the gist from the visuals, I guess. It's just kind of shipping these two characters a little bit. Jinchi initially shy and alone, but then there's light. There's light in his world by the very end. The light gets kind of shown off here as well, where we kind of go here and then it brightens up and she's in this beautiful garden, right? Before I was cold and alone, now it's bright and Mao Mao. Pretty cool. I wanted to go back here to the opening, where there's the character on the mound. So no, you're not the same character. Okay, cool. You two are different characters. Gotcha. Yeah, here, no, that's a different character. This is the girl. Yeah, the hair ornament, right? This is the girl from later on, the tall girl. The one there. Very similar, right? But maybe a younger version? Yeah, something's going on here. I don't know what's going on there, but it seems cool. Yeah, all in all, that was the 2 episodes. They were very good. I talked about them for quite a while, as I tend to do. Yeah. I see the vision, I guess, and I think both episodes, again, they accomplish their purpose to be as frank as possible about it. Just very well made. Introduce new concepts and close off old concepts. Even more will happen from here. I am intrigued. The characters of Jinchi and Mao Mao are starting to reflect each other. They both don't know what they want and know what they want at the same time. They're being pulled in 2 different directions constantly. Jinchi feels inadequate. He's kind of supplementing that with Mao Mao somewhat. A lot going on. Yeah, and I'll be back next week, probably for a couple more. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Patreon if you want to be 1 week ahead. Discord if you want to talk to me about the show. Like the video. Subscribe. I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.